Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into a story that is just a lot. It's got a huge celebrity, a simple pair of jeans, and an internet firestorm that exploded into arguments about sexism, eugenics, and somehow the stock market.
Right, so this is the question we're trying to answer. How on earth did a regular old jeans ad trigger this massive cultural meltdown? Seriously, stick with me because this story goes to some places you would absolutely not expect.
Okay, so it all kicks off with this. The clothing brand American Eagle drops its new fall campaign. And at first glance, it seems totally normal. You've got actress Sydney Sweeney, from Euphoria, The White Lotus, she's everywhere, and the whole ad has this real throwback feel. The campaign had a really specific vibe. 21 News called it à l'ancienne, old school. It's got Sydney Sweeney in a tank top working on a vintage Mustang. It's all meant to feel authentic, and this is key, not political. The tagline is a pretty basic pun. Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. The goal? Simple. Sell some jeans. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Well, you guessed it. The internet immediately did what the internet does best. As Grazia Franz pointed out, the ad instantly split social media down the middle, kicking off round one of the controversy. And it's a debate that probably sounds very familiar. So two camps formed instantly. On one side, you had people calling it a celebration, a refreshing throwback to classic beauty and femininity. But on the other side, people saw it as pure objectification, a backward-looking ad using a woman's body just to move product. They were watching the same ad and seeing two completely different things.
The first group really saw it as a breath of fresh air. This one comment on TikTok kind of sums it up perfectly. Finally, a return to femininity. God, it feels good and makes you want to buy. For these folks, this was just a nice ad, plain and simple. But the other side was not having it. They were deeply skeptical. As one person sarcastically commented, well, yes, it just takes a close-up on a butt/chest for men to like it, how shocking. For them, it wasn't a celebration. It was the same old, tired formula for selling stuff to men. And, of course, the debate couldn't just stay about the ad. Pretty soon, comments like this one started popping up. The end of wokeism. And just like that, the campaign became a symbol, a battlefield in the ongoing culture war. Suddenly, buying a pair of jeans wasn't just about fashion, it was a political act. And believe it or not, this was just the warm-up.
So while everyone was arguing about sexism, a few people started looking a little closer, specifically at the slogan, and what they found kicked off a second, much more intense round of controversy.
Okay, so this is where it gets really complicated. It's all about this pun. As Quebec Nouvelles and Salon reported, some ads had the phrase great jeans, but with jeans crossed out and replaced with jeans. Cheesy little marketing joke. But in this context, that word jeans set off some huge alarm bells.
And here's why. The whole idea of good genes comes with some seriously dark historical baggage. Eugenics, which Salon defines right here, was this whole movement built around promoting so-called good genes, which historically meant white, able-bodied people, while at the same time justifying the forced sterilization of everyone else. So yeah, a fun little pun suddenly crashed into some very, very ugly history.
This next wave of criticism was really captured by this one viral post. The argument was basically this. Choosing a blonde, blue-eyed white woman and then building a whole campaign that jokes about great genes, it just feels, as the user put it, weird. Tone-deaf at best, and at worst, a nod to something much darker.
And the accusations, which Quebec Nouvelles detailed, got serious fast. People weren't just calling it a bad joke anymore. They were calling it a subliminal racist message, saying the brand was glorifying Aryan genetic characteristics and even using the word supremacist or supremacist to describe the ad. The stakes were suddenly sky high. So you've got these two massive, raging debates online. You'd assume this is a total PR nightmare for American Eagle, right? Well, just when you think the story can't get any stranger, Wall Street entered the chat. And here is the plot twist nobody saw coming. All of this chaos and controversy actually sent American Eagle's stock price soaring. It jumped by nearly 10%. The PR disaster everyone was arguing about on social media? Well, for investors who saw it as an anti-woke win, it was basically a gold rush.
To really get why the market reacted this way, 21 News compared it directly to the Bud Light controversy. Remember that? A campaign seen as woke led to boycotts, and the stock tanked. But here, a campaign celebrated as non-woke got tons of buzz, and the stock shot up. The lesson Wall Street seemed to take from this was pretty simple. Controversy isn't bad for business, as long as it's the right kind of controversy. So what is going on here? How can one single ad mean such wildly different things to different people? To really dig into that, we need a way to decode the argument itself. And this is where some academic theory about how we even talk about racism becomes incredibly helpful. The scholar Alana Lentin has this framework called non-racism. It's not about denying racism exists, it's a strategy to dismiss it. And it has 3 basic moves. First, you pit race against class, saying that focusing on racism hurts the white working class. Second, you claim that racism is a useless idea today for explaining what's wrong with society. And third, you frame the entire fight against racism as some elitist hobby for out-of-touch people. Sound at all familiar? This all builds to Lentin's most powerful idea, that the endless circular argument over what is or isn't racist can actually become a weapon. The debate itself becomes the main event, and it stops any real conversation about the actual harm of racism from ever happening. Okay, so after all of that, sexism, eugenics, Wall Street, academic theory, you might be sitting there thinking, what about the actual genes? Well, hold on, because there is one final deeply ironic twist to this story that got completely buried under everything else. It turns out this campaign actually had a philanthropic mission from the very beginning. A little detail reported by Quebec Nouvelles shows that the whole Sydney jean thing was supposed to be for a good cause. So get this, the jeans had a butterfly design, which was a nod to domestic violence awareness. And 100% of the profits were supposed to be donated to Crisis Text Line, a mental health service. The ultimate irony here is that this genuinely good cause was so badly advertised, so completely drowned out by the noise that it basically became invisible.
Which brings us to our final question. In a world where brands are selling culture just as much as they're selling clothes, and every purchase can feel like a political statement, can a pair of jeans ever really be just a pair of jeans? Or are they always going to be a battleground for our deepest cultural fights?
That's all we have for this explainer. Thanks for digging into this with us. We'll catch you on the next one.